Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're heading over to Patan, Gujarat, to explore what is undoubtedly one of the most spectacular archaeological sites on the entire Indian subcontinent. We're talking about a place that absolutely challenges everything we think we know about how monuments are supposed to be built. We are looking at Rani Ki Vav, also known as the Queen's Stepwell. But let me be clear right up front. This wasn't just some ordinary place to fetch your daily water. It is a sprawling, subterranean masterpiece of art and architecture. I am super excited to guide you through this marvel today because understanding Rani Ki Vav gives us this incredible window into ancient engineering, profound devotion, and honestly, a pretty wild story of nature accidentally preserving a cultural treasure. Okay, let's dive into this. Literally. When we picture the world's great historical monuments, our minds naturally go upward, right? We think of structures rising up to pierce the sky, massive pyramids, soaring cathedrals, grand towers. But Rani Ki Vav? It does the exact opposite. It pulls you deep into the earth. Instead of building some towering edifice meant to be seen from miles away, the architects here created a magnificent descent. You start right at ground level and journey downward, stepping deeper and deeper into this hidden, almost secret world. It completely flips the traditional concept of monumental architecture upside down.
And the history of this place is just as dramatic as its design. Constructed way back in the 11th century, this stepwell actually spent a massive chunk of its existence completely invisible to the world. A devastating flood in the nearby Saraswati River filled the entire structure with silt, totally burying it underground. But here is the crazy historical irony of the whole thing. That catastrophic flood, it actually worked in the monument's favor. The tightly packed silt acted like a giant time capsule, perfectly preserving the delicate carvings from weathering and invaders for nearly 700 years. It wasn't until the 1980s that the Archaeological Survey of India painstakingly excavated it, which eventually led to it being recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2014.
So you might be wondering, why go through all the trouble to build such an astonishing structure in the first place? Well, it was actually commissioned as a majestic memorial to King Bhimdev I, built by his widowed queen, Udayamati. Throughout history, we are constantly hearing these stories of kings building grand monuments to honor their queens. The Taj Mahal is usually the first thing that comes to mind. But here, we have an incredible role reversal. Queen Udayamati directed the creation of this 11th century masterpiece out of deep devotion to her late husband. It stands as this profound, enduring testament of love, literally carved permanently into the earth. Now, the architectural genius making all of this possible is known as the Marujara style. And this really represents the absolute peak of Solanki-era craftsmanship. We aren't just talking about slapping a few decorative stones here and there. This required a mind-boggling level of complex structural engineering. They had to design walls capable of holding back the immense, crushing pressure of the surrounding earth, all while incorporating these wildly intricate carvings. The builders somehow managed to combine brute structural strength with the delicate, precise artistry of a jeweler. To really appreciate the sheer feat of that engineering, you have to picture the scale of the void they carved out of the ground. The complex is massive, approximately 64 meters long and 20 meters wide. And crucially, it drops a staggering 27 meters deep. To make that huge descent actually manageable, and architecturally stunning, of course, the structure is divided into 7 distinct, terraced levels of stairs. Just imagine the sheer volume of earth that had to be moved entirely by hand in the 11th century, and the flawless precision required to align every single stone across those 7 vast levels. I really want to emphasize that depth for a second. 27 meters. Because walking down into Rani Ki Vav is this full-on sensory experience. As you make your way down through the levels, stepping closer and closer to the water table, the air around you noticeably changes. It gets remarkably cooler, offering this incredibly refreshing, natural respite from the intense heat of Gujarat up above. And at the exact same time, the art you are looking at becomes far more detailed and intimate. It's fascinating. The deeper you go into the earth, the closer you get to the most exquisite craftsmanship the site has to offer.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of the entire structure. It is designed as an inverted temple. You see, in a dry region, water isn't merely a utility, it is life itself. It is sacred. By building a temple that descends down to the water, rather than placing a shrine high up on a hill somewhere, the creators were highlighting the absolute sanctity of water. The well itself is essentially the deity, and the journey down those hundreds of steps is an actual pilgrimage to the life-giving source. This deep reverence for water provides the perfect canvas for what is arguably the most famous aspect of the stepwell, the art. It functions as an extraordinary, sprawling underground sculpture gallery. There are over 500 principal sculptures and more than 1,000 minor ones decorating the pavilions and walls. Virtually every available surface is brought to life with stone carvings. It's almost an overwhelming volume of art. It effectively transforms a functional water source into a subterranean museum of 11th century theology and culture.
So, what exactly are you looking at as you wander through this vast gallery? Well, the carvings generally fall into three main themes. First, we have the Dashavatara. These are beautiful, highly prominent depictions of the 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu, which really emphasizes the site's religious importance. Next up are the celestial beings. These feature incredibly detailed carvings of apsaras, or celestial nymphs, alongside musicians and dancers, which brings this amazing sense of divine rhythm and movement to the heavy stone. And finally, honestly my personal favorite, the geometrical patterns. The artisans carved intricate designs into the stone that perfectly mimic traditional Gujarati textile patterns, specifically local patola weaving. They essentially wove solid stone to look like fine fabric. It's incredible.
Ultimately, Rani Ki Vav represents a perfect blend of religious devotion, utility, and artistic brilliance. It isn't just one thing. It solved a very practical, pressing human need for reliable water access in a dry region. At the same time, it provided a beautiful, sacred space for religious devotion, and it executed both of these functions with a level of artistic brilliance that remains absolutely breathtaking nearly a millennium later. That specific triad, utility, devotion, art, is exactly what makes it an unparalleled triumph of its era. Now, if you are wondering about the modern relevance of this ancient structure, here is a really fun fact for you. If you happen to have a modern 100 rupee Indian banknote, flip it over and look at the back. Right there, printed on the currency that millions of people carry around in their pockets every single day, is a beautiful illustration of Rani Ki Vav. Placing it on the national currency is a massive honor. It totally cements its immense cultural importance and ensures that this once-hidden masterpiece is now recognized daily across the entire country. If learning about this hidden marvel has sparked your curiosity, and maybe you want to go witness it in person, here is a quick bit of practical advice. When you're planning your trip to Patan, the absolute best time to go is between October and March. The weather in Gujarat during these months is highly pleasant. It allows you to comfortably take your time descending through all those awe-inspiring levels without fighting the intense summer heat. We've explored a truly incredible structure today, one that completely challenges our standard notions of architecture and history. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought to ponder. If an 11th century masterpiece of this unbelievable scale, measuring 64 meters long and plunging 27 meters deep, could remain completely hidden beneath the earth for 700 years, perfectly preserved by the very forces of nature that buried it, what else might be waiting to be discovered right under our feet? History is rarely finished revealing its secrets. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.